all three of y'all. Mm-hmm. Where we gonna keep this? I can't bend over. I have a makeup situation happening.
All right, well, let's do the clap.
Okay.
We only need one clap.
Hey y'all, I'm Be Free.
And I'm Q.
And you're listening to the Love in the Loop podcast, where life, love, and music meet on the same beat.
Two artists, one journey, and a mission to prove that the best collabs happen when you're in sync.
Let's go.
Welcome to Love, 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 Love in the Loop. We talk about life and love and music and all that we do.
Life and love and music.
Love, 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 Love in the Loop. We talk about life and love and music and all that we do. Love in the Loop. Love in the Loop. Love in the Loop. Love in the Loop. Be free and Q. Be free and Q. Love in the Loop.
Hello, everybody. Oh my gosh, we're doing a thing, y'all. Welcome to the Love in the Loop podcast with Be Free and Q, where love, life, and music meet on the same beat. I am Be Free, the musical Swiss Army knife. Get into it, yeah?
And I am Quinten, the keyboard extraordinaire and the Q in Be Free and Q.
You better do that. You better give yourself 3 stamps up.
For
I
sure.
love it. We are so excited to be here. This is a completely new endeavor for us, and I think that it's going to be so exciting today of all days because what is today, Quinten?
It's our anniversary.
It's our
Play for
anniversary.
Q and
Ooh, that-
D.
you know, as musicians, that should have sounded better. It's okay. Today is actually our wedding anniversary. We have been officially married for 9 of them things, and together for 19 more of that altogether.
Damn decades.
Almost 2 decades of love, life, and musical matrimony. And I thought that what better time of our lives to launch this thing than on this day. So you guys are in for a special treat. Now, before we get into the ins and outs of what this podcast is going to be about, we want to take some time to introduce ourselves for anybody out there who has no idea who we are. Okay. So my name is Be Free Brittany. I am a musical Swiss Army knife. By that, I mean I am a singer, songwriter, producer, multi-instrumentalist, flautist, keyboardist occasionally. I do other things. I'm all at the root of it all. I'm going to be getting into it, yeah. And that is pretty much the realm of world that I live in. Anything that has to do with music, composition, production, education. I also run a music program, and yeah, I do all the things. And Quinten has an array of stuff under his belt as well.
Yes, I am Quinten, aka Quinten F. I am a pianist and keyboardist by trade, and I also do audio production, audio engineering, mixing, mastering. I can two-step a little bit. Well, no, mainly just music. I'm just a music guy. I like music. I play a little bit of video games, not too much because I'm too damn busy at this point
These
in my
days,
life.
especially.
I don't even have a PS5 yet. And my PS4 just collects dust, and it's only a DVD player at this point. Not even Blu-rays, just DVDs.
This DVD, that shows you how long it's been.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, I love the fact that you're getting comfortable with like listing all of these things that you do because we have been going for the longest of trying to get Quinten to the state of, yes, I do X, Y, and Z in 1, 2, and 3. You know, so kudos, my man.
Well, I've been listening to you. You've been hyping me up to everybody.
Yeah.
Like, shit. Oh, and I also play Talkbox. I almost forgot that.
That part. And very well, might I add.
Thank you.
Cool. So, what exactly is it that led us to this point? We have a very specific story and path that we are eager to share with everybody, but it was something that really specifically inspired us to do this particular route. And that was another podcast featuring Sterling K. Brown and his wife, Ryan Beth. Please, I'm so sorry if I messed up her name. Bethay? Is it Bethay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Ryan Michelle Bethay. You actually were the one who introduced us to this thing, which I thought was really ironic.
Yeah, because it comes across my YouTube. My YouTube feed is full of all things black. And
which you
prosperous, which I mean prosperous. I'm working towards that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I looked at this one. I love the actors, and two, I'm like, yeah, this is something that I'm sure that we'd enjoy because that's our thing. We watch shows during our hair braiding time
Mhm.
because she's also a stylist. She didn't,
Oh, I gotta add that
hairstylist.
to the
Yeah, cool.
resume.
Like,
Thank you very
give yourself
much.
some big up. What are you talking about?
Lord have mercy. I became an inadvertent stylist during Coco because I had to start doing Q's hair because wasn't nobody cutting hair during the high times of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Plus, I was
anywho,
just scared to get my hair cut. We saved a crap ton of money with that. So,
sincerely,
thank
and
you.
a bunch on our car insurance. It's gonna be a lot of that.
Oh,
So Q brings this podcast to me, and whenever Q introduces anything into our mix of like, hey, I think we should check this out, I take it very strongly because he's usually a very go with the flow guy. Like anything I'm putting on, he's just gonna like, rock with it. But if he has a very specific recommendation, it usually 9 times out of 10 turns out to be amaze balls. Okay. He's the reason why I love Castlevania. He is the
yes, sir.
reason why there's like let alone like the entire spectrum of like our room and like building out the studio things like Q. There's a whole motto we have in our life relationship that Q knows best, and we'll get into that in a moment. But I was really enthralled with this podcast. I loved how natural it felt, and I was finding all of the anecdotal stories behind their lives together from like young age to now relatable and relevant. And I was like, bro, this kind of reminds me of XYZ with me and Quinten. And we were actually like laughing and having like these whole like, yeah, I recall this happening with us. And I
Yeah.
think that it like naturally just became this literal authentic revelation. I never would have thought out to do a podcast. I do intend to do a Twitch now. That was my thing I've been trying to do for a long time because me and Quinten very much have Twitchable attitudes. You know what I'm saying? We make music, so why not? And that's something we're still building. But this was not the route that I predicted, which is why I wanted to lean into it because I was like, if something feels this authentic and if it came organically out of nowhere from Q, like I'm like, there's something here. And I think the something that we were realizing is that we can do it too. Not just because we have the capabilities technology wise, but we literally have a years worth of experience, of insight and intel, not just as human beings and being together, but as musicians, as being practicing musicians. And I think it's cool to share the perspective of the totality of our lives and what that looks like from being a married music couple.
Yeah, we have a story to tell,
Mhm.
and this is the platform to do it on.
Yeah.
So why the hell not?
So we
Tell
gonna
our
do
story.
that. We gonna do that thing. Okay. So this is our opportunity to finally tell the entire story from beginning to end, which we have never done. Okay. We've always told bits and pieces. The only folks that probably know it were the people who were there. You know what I
For
mean?
sure, yeah.
But as far as like the complete ins and outs of what led to this to that, I think that this is our first time being able to really, really, truly give the the genesis story of Be Free and Q. And I'm it's like 2% nervous, but also like 85% excited and 10% like because I want to hear how each of us interprets how these aspects of our relationship and life have rolled out. So I've been considering this track 1, where it all began, and the episode is called Meet the Fars. So, movement 1. This first section. Who is y'all? Who are we?
Who he is?
Quinten, before we get into how we came together, we were individual people. We were individual human beings. Why
I
don't you
like to
talk a
believe
little?
we still are.
Well, I'm talking about before we
For
became
sure,
this
yeah.
entity now. Yes, we very much still are. But tell a little bit about your background and what led you to the point where we ended up pretty much crossing paths.
For sure, yeah. So, born and raised in Milwaukee. Shout out to Milwaukee. Milltown,
414.
414. Stop playing with me. Some things broke ass.
Oh my
So
God. You can't take them nowhere.
born, raised in Milwaukee. That's what I love, what I know.
Mhm.
Come from a family of musicians. So father is a drummer, still
Yeah.
plays actively.
Mhm.
Bobby Farr Sr. Mother's a singer. She used to direct the choir at All Nations Pentecostal Church of Holiness. Shout out to All
Yeah.
Nations.
Mhm.
So Pentecostal kid over here. 2 older brothers, Bobby and Dante, played lead and bass guitar. And it's church when you call it lead guitar. I don't hear that anywhere else.
I
It's
don't
just
think I've heard it
guitar
anywhere else as well.
besides
Yeah.
church. And I am the baby boy, also the third child, middle child, pianist,
Mhm.
obviously. And younger sister who used to play violin. I'm pretty sure she pawned it after high school.
I think that was a similarity between both of our siblings.
Yeah, so we'll talk about it. But
Yeah.
yeah, me, my story. It's funny enough. I didn't have a choice with music.
Yeah.
It was more so, yeah, my dad was on his Joe Jackson shit. And yeah, it's like you guys are gonna play music. He tried to make his own band to do his own music.
Mhm.
This is how I perceive it. He actually never said this.
Okay.
But yeah, so he had the bass player, he was the drummer, mom was the singer, I was a keyboard player, and Tiffany was there.
Y'all really had a family band?
Yeah.
How did I not know
I mean,
this?
the whole story is, I think that's what the culmination of all of us being born
Yeah.
was the purpose.
That was the only reason why they continued having
Yeah,
children, so that
having
they could.
kids, yeah.
He was like, I'm going to recreate this element by any means necessary.
Like I said, none of this is actually confirmed.
Yeah,
But
it's just your own speculation.
But no, we all, grew up playing music. We took lessons. Yeah, because funny enough, my brothers, my older brothers, they did actually play in the church, the All Nations Pentecostal Church.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people assume this. I don't know if it's racism or not, but yeah, they just assume like I grew up in church because I guess I play like churchy sometimes. But I didn't actually grow up playing in church. Like, I didn't start playing in church until I say consistently until freshman year of college.
Yeah.
And yeah, that surprises a lot of people. My main training came from jazz. 'Cause I studied jazz starting in, well, first of all, let me give credit because I started my tutelage under John Reed from the church.
Nice.
He taught me how to read music. Rest in peace, John Reed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, taught me how to read music, taught me how to, what chords are, and then, getting started on theory, which is kind of surprising for a young age.
Yeah.
Because most, I'll just say most Black church musicians don't start with that.
Mm-hmm.
They just kind of start like, this is what you play, and this is how,
It's supposed to
do
sound,
it. Yeah.
and then get in there.
Yeah.
Get in
like,
there.
No one actually brings up sheet music,
Yeah.
to these young cats.
No, it's just truth. It's facts.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, I started with sheet music. So I knew scales, I knew, chords, I knew, inversions and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying these cats didn't, but, I started
The
a
fact
little more
that
formal.
was your base, your introduction to it.
A lot more formal than most musicians at the time and at my age. And then middle school comes along, and I started studying under Sam Stefke. Shout out to Sam Stefke.
Oh, yeah.
It's just jazz extraordinaire out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And that's what started my jazz theory, because he got me, learning seventh chords and, reading charts still at that time. And so that's my my basis for music is jazz. I'm a jazz musician at heart and at the start. And gospel, I do play gospel because, the Lord, hallelujah.
Because the Lord.
But yeah, I'm a jazz musician. So started that, and I didn't actually like playing music. I've told you this.
Yeah, which is surprising.
I didn't like music because at the start, my mom tells the story all the time. They're like, "Do you remember when you broke?" No, I don't, Mom. I was 4. But I guess at 4 years old, I hated the keyboard so much that I actually broke my keyboard that they bought for me.
Jesus.
Like in a rage, I guess.
Ooh, not you. What?
Yeah. And she always say like, "You remember you did that?" No, I don't.
Bro, I would. What I would do to have had the technology of today back then, so I can just replay that over and over.
I'd be all over TikTok breaking the keyboard. But so apparently that happened. But up until high school, before high school, music was always just something I was, obligated to do. Like I was forced to do it, and I wouldn't say I didn't enjoy it, but it was more like a chore to me, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the beginning of Mo Better Blues.
Yeah.
When Bleak is like so upset about having to stay in the house and practice because he wants to be outside. That's been his life. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I had lessons once a week, and I had to do all that stuff. Like, it sucks now because I look at it like I took it for granted. But I got a swift kick in the rear end once I got to high school, because that's when I started meeting all the other musicians my age, most of the musicians I was around at that time were my brother's age, and they were like
Mhm.
4 or 5 years older than I am. So obviously I couldn't hang with them, and I didn't play the music they played, which is still I got to talk to my mom about that. Why didn't I play in church at all? Like at all.
They wanted you to have this specific track.
Plus, I think the organist didn't want to give up their gig.
That too,
But
which some things never change.
topic for
Clearly.
another time. But yeah, once I got to high school, started meeting all the homies. That's where I met Terry. Shout out
Mhm.
to Terry Harris
Now,
Jr.
you keep saying high school,
Oh,
but we haven't actually said what high school this was yet.
I will mention the high school.
Yes.
The high school that where we met, which we'll get into, is Milwaukee High School of the Arts.
Pew, pew, pew.
So shout out to MHSA.
Shout out to
and
the
all
Crimson
yeah.
Stars. That's what they were called. That's what they're called. I know. That's another story. Keep going.
I'll get into it. But
But also, you have a family history.
yes, that's so before it was the High School of the Arts, it was West Division High School,
Mhm.
in Milwaukee. And my mom actually went there. And so my mom went there, all of my siblings graduated from there.
Mhm.
It's kind of like a family legacy at this point, right?
Yeah. How
Yeah.
cool is that?
Yeah, so 5 of us, dad didn't go there, shame on him. But no, it's yeah, family legacy, go to the High School of the Arts. And I get to the High School of the Arts and I realize that, all of these guys, at least how I perceive it,
Mhm.
they're just like blazing. And
Yeah.
these are the gospel cats that I'm talking about. That
Yeah. The ones that didn't have the theory
yeah,
or the sheet music and
they can play circles around me from my
Mhm.
perspective. They some of them say otherwise when I
Mhm.
ask them like, yeah, bro, you good. You just didn't have the confidence or whatever.
Mhm.
But no, they couldn't tell you what a C7 chord was. But they can blaze like any type of blues or any type of
Yeah.
starter jazz track. So
Yeah.
this made me realize, oh, one, it's competitive because I need to practice. These
Mhm.
cats are good. And two, it's like they're just being around other people who were passionate about this thing that I sort of liked.
Yeah.
It kind of changed my trajectory on, how I feel about it. Because one, I did have a start in it, so I didn't have to completely learn to get into it. Yeah.
Yeah. Ah, Jinx, you always a
Shit.
Pepsi.
Shit.
I'm sorry. You
I
knew
love
it was
you.
coming.
I knew it was coming.
You walked right into it.
I did.
Go ahead. Continue, please, sir.
But yeah, no, it kicked something into gear with me where I needed to get serious about this this music stuff. So that's kind of my whole upbringing as far as like where music and how it relates to my life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, jazz guy, got to the high school. Gospel cats are super blazing. They super cold,
Mm-hmm.
and I needed to catch up. So that's how my
That's what led you to
yeah,
it, the path.
my origin story.
I
So
love
to speak. Yeah.
it. And then how often do you actually get to tell your origin story? Like it comes up in bits and pieces, in regular like conversation, but actually like, well, actually, this is where I started. This is where I ended up. This is my history with the school, and this is why I decided to get gooder.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Because of why you were. I've been there. That's a story
Mhm.
for another day. We're still finding out things about experiences in our lives. They're like, what
After
that?
19 years. Granted, we've known each other longer, but before we get into that, let's hear more about Be Free.
As if,
Yeah.
I'm going to condense my version because I actually spend a great deal of time talking about my life because I am a practicing solo artist. And Q is too, but he's coming more into that as far as like where we are now. But I've been doing this for a very long time, so I will try to like make it brief-ish. So the time, September, late 80s. The place, Chicago, Illinois. Because actually, that's another thing too. I was not born in Milwaukee. I wasn't born and raised. Q is born through and through, bred, trace days. But I was born in Chicago. My family originated there. Both my mom and my dad met each other there. They started playing in a band together, and that led to them kind of being a thing. So my mom played keys and sang. My dad sang and also plays a hell of a bass. So this was something kind of similar to your family. Like you were going to be a part of it whether you wanted to or not.
For sure.
You know,
you got jumped into the music.
Exactly. But luckily for me though, I don't think I ever had to have it. It was never forced upon me. I don't remember a time in my life where music just was not it. You know what I mean? I fell in love with it before I even understood what that meant to say or be, you
Okay.
know?
Yeah.
So my parents used to have, aside from playing everything, and we had a really well-rounded, eclectic household of listening to old stuff, new stuff, Fishbone and jazz and Anita Baker and Sade and Janet Jackson and Michael Jackson and Prince. Huge Prince aficionado, as you can say.
Mm,
But I love the fact that they kind of just made that a part of our living. You know, it was a
okay.
part of our upbringing. So that I was destined to end up on the path that I'm on now. We ended up moving to Milwaukee when I was 11. Prior to that, I was doing all the things. I was in every talent show. I was in everything in school. I was auditioning for all the solos and things. And
Mm,
ironically, I had a mild, I wouldn't say mildish, but a significant intro through church as well. Because when we were living in Chicago, I spent the majority of the time with my granny. Rest in peace, Irma. I say Irma. Rest in peace, Irma G. They I do that, but they called her Gerald because her middle name was Geraldine. So I
mm,
like my granny. But we spent a great deal of time at the Progressive Community Baptist Church in Chicago. Not only was that my granny's church, my great uncle Andrew was also the pastor there. My cousin Carrie was also the MD. He was a music
okay.
director. And my auntie Jessica was singing in the youth choir. And Jessica used to watch us all the time. So 9 times out of 10, if I'm with them, I was going there,
Oh,
you
for sure.
know. So I ended up actually joining. The youth choir was made up mostly of teenagers, but I was
Mm.
like 7. I remember just like, "Count your blessings, down, down what I want.
Oh
Count,"
my
my little
gosh.
self just see what the Lord has done. Count your,
With
and
the
I was
voice and
like,
all that shit.
that's
Okay.
how little me sounded. But I had so much fun. I really, really had so much fun, and I think that as small as that stint of time was, I'm like, that's literally was what I consider that breeding ground too.
Mm,
And it got me used to performing. It helped me get over my stage fright at an early age. It taught me to listen to myself and others. It taught me to blend with each other before I even understood the weight and magnitude and significance of that. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
for sure.
So I thought that was really cool. So I always take that with me. But again, we ended up lots of different places, mostly based in Chicago. Had a small stint in Gary, had a small stint in East Chicago, Indiana, which is crazy to even be called that. But our home base, our nucleus was Chicago, till my family moved to Milwaukee, and I was starting the 6th grade.
Okay, middle school.
Yeah, middle school. So I was salty too because I didn't realize that there was something called an elementary school graduation. In Chicago, we didn't graduate from 5th grade. It was just you went up until 6th grade, maybe
Mm,
7th, and then you graduated from junior, and then you yeah, it was that, and then also some high schools, junior high and high school is all one thing.
mm,
So that's another story. I didn't get a graduation. My sisters both got one. I was very salty. So I went to John Muir Middle School. It was quite the wretchetry. I loved it though. I love the majority of my best friends that I have now. I met them there. I've
okay,
known
yeah.
them since I was 12 years old.
That's true, yeah.
But it was at John Muir that I got introduced to the flute because I actually wanted to play the saxophone for a very long time. I wanted to be Lisa Simpson, and it was just my dream instrument, aside from singing and everything. But I could not get it to make a sound to save my life. So shout out to Michael Sandin in Milwaukee, who was the band director at the time. He gave me this other instrument instead and said, "Try this on the side, okay?"
Mm,
And it didn't have a reed, so there was no like back pressure or difficulty, and it worked. So I was like, "Cool." It's literally like blowing on the bottle. So that became my introduction into learning how to read music. Cause
mm,
I was already singing, I was already playing piano by ear. My granny also had an upright piano in her house. So again, like every single time we were over there, me and babysat or whatever, I was playing that piano. I was making up
mm.
songs. You know what I mean? Like it's always just been an innate thing. Like I didn't realize like how cool that was. I made up songs for my dolls too. Another story from another time. But I had no idea that Milwaukee had this whole system of arts schools. Like I didn't realize that there was a middle school and an elementary school
Yep.
at that.
Elm Elementary School.
And I was like, "What?" I was like, "You mean to tell me I've been going to this regular schmegular middle school this whole time, and I could have been having like a very specifically like arts track education. Like that's crazy. So then my mama did some research because my sisters and she's like, "Oh, y'all go ahead and go to Lincoln, go on Lincoln Center of the Arts." I was like, "Dang." So there was a high school. It was a high school, and this to me was incredible because one, I had started watching Taina. Remember
Mhm.
Taina? I don't know if we can sing all these things. I'm gonna get like smidges. So I don't want to get no copyright strike because I might sound just like the real thing. But I was very inspired by Taina because I wanted to see my name in lights too. And also, I had watched Fame, and to me, the High School of the Arts was that because you had to audition. You had to audition to get in.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Like, yeah, like it wasn't just go there and go here. You had to come prepare a piece. You had to, or whatever. And it had different majors, different tracks within the field, within the genre. So even if it was music, what concentration are you doing? Is it a band? Is it jazz? Is it piano? Is it voice? So we had all of these different sectors within the departments for everything, which we had to specifically demonstrate a skill set in order to be accepted into. It was giving college.
Mhm.
It was already giving college. I loved it. So I auditioned and I actually auditioned for both the voice and thing. I ended up just choosing one track because they made us. I ended up starting a band. But funny enough, I did know the jazz director before I started there because shout out to Doug Sign,
Yeah, shout
he
out to
actually
them.
used to do a lot of recruiting in local schools. And he came to my middle school with one of the jazz combos and they were doing some improv on stage. And I was just up there, hey, yeah, why not? And I brought my flute and they were doing some call and response. And I was just like, shooting it back. And then I guess he always remembered that moment. And it was like, so when I got into the school, like, yeah, we're gonna find a way to get you into this specific department.
Hmm.
So I had went through all my classes, and I eventually got to the point where I could start expanding my reach a bit. So okay, you've done this amount of required courses, now you can add on another elective or another I became like a double major essentially because I was doing the classical track or wind ensemble, and then I also actually it would kind of be triple-ish because I did jazz. I ended up auditioning and getting into the lower jazz combos and worked my way up. But then I also did vocal jazz. I auditioned for that and got into that as well
I was
eventually.
just gonna ask you, that's considered separate, right?
Yeah,
Jazz
yeah,
and vocal jazz.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Because we had instrumental jazz, which is the department you were in.
Yeah, shout out to the homies.
And then we had vocal jazz. So I was technically existing within 3 different sectors in one underneath the umbrella of music. But where we specifically crossed paths, intentionally, I would say, was the instrumental jazz department.
Mhm.
Do you happen to know, and this is just off top, do you know when we first met? Like, do you
I do.
remember, like, because I think we both have different inclinations of what this actually like was.
No, I specifically remember.
Okay.
From my point of view, obviously, I can't say that you're wrong
Uh-huh.
or it's inaccurate, but because this was at the time Syme was going for his doctorate,
Mhm.
or he was studying for it, or dissertation, something like that. He
Okay.
was doing that, and he was doing a study on perfect pitch,
Mhm.
and apparently, he was going around, interviewing all the students and doing this research, and he found out that a couple of the students in the jazz department had perfect pitch.
Mhm.
There was Terry Harris Jr.,
Yeah.
the homie, shout out to the homie,
Yeah.
and this one mysterious girl that I didn't know, and I forget how. I don't know who got my attention on it. We were in the hallway, just joking around.
Uh-huh.
It was like, yeah, Simon there. You talking to some girl? She got perfect pitch, and everybody playing notes. I'm like, what? Perfect pitch? What is this? So we stormed in there
He did.
while we were. I don't know what class I was supposed to be in, but whatever it was. I mean, I got good grades, but we stormed in there and we saw, people at the piano just playing random notes, and we got B Free, which I didn't know at the time. She was in there just, naming all the notes that everyone plays, like on the spot in a free. It was like a circus act, kind of. So
It
I,
has become a regular parlor trick, I
yeah.
will not lie.
So I walked up to her and I was like, "You the girl with perfect pitch and shit."
Yeah, no, dead ass. You was so
Yeah.
casual.
I'm just looking her up and
You
down. Just,
yeah, he was sizing me up,
yeah.
y'all. It was so
And she
funny.
was all nervous. Like, yeah.
Cause I don't know what the fuck
I'm like,
he want.
I'm like, all right, what is this? So I started doing my part
Mhm.
in, this whole act thing. And she was killing the shit. Like every single note that I played, she knew off the roof. Like, boop, that's B. Boop, that's A flat. Boop, that's G. Like, so I did this for about a good 30 seconds. And then I just like, oh, this is crap. Like, I think I walked out of there like, ugh. And I'm up here doing all this ear training like a jackass. And then I just walked out of the room. So that was my first introduction to my future wife.
You know what's funny is that like, I've heard this story, but like hearing like the how you got into the room, I
Yeah.
don't think I heard that in a while or remembered it.
Oh no, I had hatred in my heart.
That's hilarious to me. And the thing is, I didn't realize that perfect pitch was this phenomenon that they were making it out to be. I literally thought everybody did that. I thought anybody who knew how to read music was automatically doing that. So I thought it was just a special thing that I did because I learned how to read the notes.
Oh no, you found out.
No, that was really cool. Now, funny enough, I even though that was like our first like formal, I guess if you will, intro to each other, it wasn't our only interactions with one another. Because you also were in study hall with me, and you used to sit in front of me. And I don't know if you recall. It may have been after we met, because I'm sure we were cordial with one another.
I think that was after.
The study hall?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, either way, Quinten was my target practice, essentially, because in study hall, I didn't do shit but talk and mess around, and I would throw pencils at his afro. And he never actually, he was just, because he used to be sitting like this. It was just such an easy
I'm so
target.
mad that I'm actually sitting like that right now.
Nah, it was just a fun thing to do. And
My
I didn't,
life, ladies and gentlemen.
I didn't realize at the time that it was just, goofy tendencies for whatever. But then eventually, so in arts, you had several levels. There's several like beginning, intermediate, and advanced of jazz. So the top jazz combo, which he was already in for a year, was the jazz lab combo. So I auditioned. I worked my way from jazz. What was it? What was it for jazz workshop to jazz focus, and then by senior year when I auditioned, I got into jazz lab.
So this was from sophomore to senior year. You worked your way up.
Essentially, I would say maybe junior year was when I really, because sophomore year I was still going through all of my other classes and things. It wasn't really junior year when they started giving me some leniency.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's how we ended up in the same class. And obviously seeing more of each other on a regular basis. And we had a great matriculation. I credit a great deal of my musicality and know-how to the amount of experience and practice that we had, because we weren't just practicing for shows, we were practicing for gigs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At arts. Like we were actually being reared to take the stuff that they were teaching us and use it in the real world. So I thought that was dope. But I spent a great deal of time with him every day, because that final hour of our course schedule was when we would have jazz lab. Now, I will say, as far as having any kind of like relationship and none of that was neither one of our radars.
I know you was a homie.
We were just friends. You know what I mean? And also I still feel kind of a way about this. Quinten, because he was my friend, he also observed everything.
Yes.
I was a drama queen when it came to boys and relationships. And my high school career, especially, deserves a daytime Emmy, because it was just so much shit I was always involved in. And the fact that Quinten was like a literal fly on the wall for so much of that, I think it's still surreal to me that we're even together, because I'm like, because you knew the ins and outs of everything that was always like happening, and then I was just somehow like, and you I think you even told me one time like, oh, leave that shit alone, bro. Like you tried to give me advice.
That was my introduction to knowing how hard-headed B-Free is. Yeah, we're still here. I mean,
right.
it worked out.
But how do we get to this point is the initial judge that we have to say. So Senior year, again, I had known him for a few because I'd been in the jazz department at least for a whole year prior to that, so I seen Q a lot.
Yeah, we
You
was
know,
cool, and I used to sell you lunches and shit.
he used to sell me.
Yeah.
Okay, y'all. So here's the thing. And in my life growing up, I was also reason why we stopped going to church. I still was involved. I still was going for music. I wasn't actually the first gospel choir at Arts yeah. But we became Muslim for a period of time. My family had converted to Islam, and that was a good practice for I want to say maybe a decade of my life, at least. But I don't still to this day. But at that time especially, I can't eat pork. But there was just something so damn delicious about them ham and cheese sandwiches that they were always selling at the hot lunches. And Quinten, for some reason, like I didn't realize that hustle until I got older. Like, yeah, he sold his lunches, and I was always begging for it. Like, let me just get it. So he would sell me his ham and cheese sandwich, and I would just take the bread off, like the part where the cheese and bread is, but it had already had like the ham juices, just so I could get
Just
like
the devil's
essence.
temptation. That's crazy.
That's neither here nor there. So Quinten had been looking at me for some time now.
Nah,
You know.
I got you.
But senior year, sometime I don't remember when in senior year, maybe like fall. Quinten, class had just started. He was at the piano, trinkling away, and I sat down next to him on the bench, and he was playing and doing whatever, and I'm just like, what is going on in my chest? Like, what is this like? Is this some kind of like butterflies? I was like, do I have a crush on Quinten Farr? I was like, I didn't mean it in a rude way.
Goddamn.
Well, no, I didn't mean it in a rude way, but it was literally like, where did that come from?
I
You know what I
feel it,
mean? Like it came out of complete left field. And this is why I feel like everything about us is so organic because nobody planned it to
Yeah,
a
for
certain
sure,
degree,
yeah.
at least not until that point. After that, I kind of took the reins. But
You did.
but I took note. I took stock. You know what I mean? And I was like, okay, so I guess we like Quinten now. All right, But I was still going on being dramatic and doing my crazy shit in high school. But spring came and I was just like so obsessed. I was so obsessed with going to prom with Quinten. And because I was like, in senior year,
Oh boy.
I haven't been able to act on any of. He has no idea. This entire time we went to New York together. You had no idea. You know how girls or boy they used to like hit each other when they like each other because they don't know how to express that they like the person that they're dealing with. He said something, and I think I hit. I used to do that with boys. I used to hit them for some reason, and I hit
so
him.
You
I
assaulted.
pushed you.
You assaulted. You assaulted me. Yes, essentially.
And you said some crazy shit like, "Girl, I'll snatch your wig off." It was like, what? I wasn't even wearing a wig, but this is how Quinten has been ribbing since he was born. This entire
that is
family.
true. And I think that's how it started. Because you had on that coat. I think it was like a J-Lo coat or baby fat. And I said it had like raccoon fur on it, which it did. Because it was crusty.
Rude. You were so damn rude. Oh my God. So anywho, we got to spring and I was just like, I'm a little afraid to ask him. And my best friend at the time, Shatoria, shout out to Tori. She was like, well, I'm gonna like, because I think I did ask you like casually.
No, you did.
I did ask you casually before that. I was like, so yeah, Quinten, I ain't planning to go to prom, And he was like, yeah, nah. And I was like, oh. So that kind of like shut it down. But I was like talking to Tori about, because that's what I do. I have secret conversations about you and other people. I was like, I think he only said that because he didn't want to go with me. Oh. So she was like, oh, don't worry. So that's how Tori entered the mix. Because she was like, well, I'll ask him for you. And then we'll find out for sure. But then Tori went up to Quinten after school one time. And she was just like, y'all playing Quinten? He planning on going to prom? So that motherfucker changed his answer. He was like, nah, I mean, but shit, like, I mean, I could. I was like, so now.
I want to interject after you finish.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Feel free.
One, that obviously, I don't recall it happening like that because my decision was still no, even when she asked. Because one, when Shatoria did ask, I saw you out of, like, you were in the corner.
Oh, really?
I don't know why you thought you were invisible. Yes. Like, nigga,
was this plan not obvious?
No. I mean, it was totally obvious. I saw you standing over there. One, I still didn't plan on going.
Yeah.
But it was a lot easier to, well, I won't say it was easier. It was more comfortable just telling you a straight answer versus, Shatoria, which, I was cool with, but she wasn't like how we were cool.
Well, I interpreted it as he
Mhm.
saw somebody prettier and he saw somebody that he was like, well, maybe I will go to prom with, so I'm going to change my answer. So that's how I thought it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then we each have our own interpretations of that. But that's how we going to live it in our individual
I'm
heads.
glad you're getting some closure on
The point is, at that time,
Mhm.
at that point in time, 18-year-old Brittany was devastated. Especially to the degree where I was like, okay, well, me and Shatoria linked up together and we were like, well, we're going to go to prom together. We're just going to go with our other friends. We went with Kayla Rose and Justin Knox. And tell me why we get to the damn venue, and who is there with his knucklehead ass friends?
Correct.
This boy. I was like, so you mean to tell me and you went through all that rigmarole, all that hoopla, just to end up at this motherfucker anyway? And you was like, so we could have done this together. We could have been cute. So you know what I did? I got some pictures. Get into it, yeah. So even though we ain't here together, I'm gonna still get my envision shots. So I have a bunch of pictures of me and Quinten, or at least one for sure.
We got the one, yeah.
The one of us. So I can use like, yeah, and that's how I ended up at the prom with my eventual husband. But that was just like a separate thing. That was because that night I also like finally told you that I liked you as well.
Correct.
Because we had like one moment. First of all, I can't believe there was any slow dancing in the damn prom because every 2 minutes they was playing the same damn song. Meet me in the crowd. It's going down.
They played
Meet me
that
in
shit
the
like
mall.
9 times.
It was literally the theme of our prom. So I cannot believe there was a moment. All my pictures of me at prom either start from the beginning where my hair was all nice and laid, or the end where it's nothing but sweat. Because I swear, if it wasn't Young Jock, it was booty, rocking everywhere. I literally ran from the bathroom in heels, get to the damn dance floor just to shake my ass to that damn song. But that's neither here nor there. I did finally tell Q that night, and we were slow dancing, and I don't even remember like if there was anything. I think if anything, you would just like maybe like thank you. I don't recall what you said. Like for Q, go ahead.
Well, let me give some backstory on my involvement with school at this point, because one, it was senior year, and the thought after senior year is college. So I'm not really looking, for any potential suitors of that nature. Two, if you've been listening to this whole podcast, you've heard Brittany herself admit that she was a lot in high school. She was my homie, very much, and, I loved you dearly. But she was a lot. I am not yeah. At the time, I mean, actually, you kind of still, anyway.
Yeah, no, I own that. It's fine.
Yeah, so at the time, I'm not an a lot guy. You know what I'm saying?
No.
I'm very chill. It's taking me a lot to not lean back on this podium right now, because that's what I naturally do. I'm a laid back guy. I'm singing in the background. I got all types of shit going on that involves low vibration. You know what I mean? Not the bad low vibration, just like
I feel you.
I don't like keeping my volume above a 6. You know what I mean? And 6 is high.
Mm-hmm.
Brittany was on 11 at all the damn time. So, I liked her. I didn't think she was ugly or anything.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, but it's just like
first time hearing that. I thought he didn't want to go with me to prom because he didn't think I was cute.
No,
But
you were just busy. You were just all over the damn place. Your life was in shambles.
It really was.
Yeah, then
continue.
Yeah. But as far as that, and I was also not very involved in the school activities.
Mm-hmm.
I literally just found out we had a homecoming like 3 years ago when you told me. Did you ever see me at any of them shits?
I did not.
No, because my friends, we had extracurriccular activities that we like to get involved in after school.
We don't need to talk about it.
Yeah, it didn't involve, I didn't have a lot of school spirit. I just found out we were the Crimsons. Like that.
The Crimson Stars.
That blows my fucking mind. Anyway, So yeah, school
Yeah.
shit was I only observed what I knew, and from what I knew about my dear friend that I sold these lunches to and who assaulted me in New York was yeah, she's a bit of a hothead, she's a bit of a drama queen, and I am not interested in that type of situation.
So you say.
Well, you can say that now,
No, no,
cause
it's
yeah, but
fine.
yeah, but no, cause just to give perspective on, like, why don't he like me? I also felt like it was this is after the fact that it was a bit entitled. Like, why
Oh,
don't you like me? Like, I'm me. Like, what type of shit is
really?
that?
Oh no,
Yeah,
that wasn't where I was coming from.
that's how it came off.
I see that now that you've
Mm-hmm.
pointed that out, and I'm sorry that you had to experience that. That was not my intention. It I didn't have that much confidence in high school. It was a facade.
Yeah.
I was acting. I was an arts major.
Mm-hmm.
But
But no, so
that
all of
that's but to that point though, I think that's also why I was leaning so heavily into it because I had a great deal of my self-esteem attached to the fact that the guy that I took the time to actually ask to the prom said no to me.
mm,
It did because and you know me now. I think I overthink everything.
correct.
I overthink so it wasn't just gonna be no one and done. It was never, oh, well, Q said no. It was, why did Q say no? Why did Q say no to me? Why did Q specifically say no to me, but seeming like he was about to say something else to Shatoria? What is it about me that made Quinten say no? That was what was going through my
Well,
head.
that was kind of the answer.
Yeah.
All of that you just that was right on the nose.
Oh,
But
okay.
also just with the prom, I actually didn't plan on going at all
Mm-hmm.
because I forget who I was talking to.
Was it Terry?
I don't think it was Terry because I knew he was going,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't plan on going. I bought my ticket the day of.
Mm-hmm.
I told you this.
Yeah.
Like my mom actually said something to me like, "Bro, you don't want to go to your prom?"
Mm-hmm.
Not really. Yeah. You know.
She made you go.
And she was like, "Yeah, I think you should go." And
Oh.
she gave me some bread for it, and set this all up in the same damn day because I got a tux.
Mm-hmm.
I got
She went to you to buy it?
yeah. No, we had the same day. It was either the
Oh.
day of or the day before
Yeah.
the tux, so it's a little blurry on that.
Nevertheless.
But all within the span of like 24 to like 36 hours. Got the tux, got the car, because I got a car from the homie Jay Ellis. Shout out to Jay Ellis. Let me borrow the Monte Carlo, which
Mm.
is how I ended up picking up Terry and his date for prom. And like, yeah, we just rolling through, because we was all cool and shit. We just gonna go and do, high school knucklehead
Mhm.
shit. And then pulled up to the prom. And obviously you were there. You was mad. Like, why you telling me you had a car? I hopped in the car and all these other single things. Because you was in a car full of people with no dates, right?
Well, I wouldn't plan it like that in case they all listen to this. But essentially, we were a camaraderie. It was a sense of, yeah. We were a quartet.
Let's go with that. That sounds better.
It was a quartet band. It was a prom quartet. We
Mm.
were musicians.
No, I was perfectly okay with not going because outside of school, like I had friends and shit.
Noggin.
Like I had friends,
Okay,
I
no.
had my brothers, and we did our brotherly activities
Mhm.
that we do. But yeah, I mean, I honestly wasn't even interested in
But
it.
I guess the thing that I was waiting for you to land on was what was your reaction or what did you say when I told you I liked you?
Oh, going back to that, yeah, it was a bit strange because one, you the whole thing with me turning you down, I thought that would have turned you off. So I was still like a little
So
bit
you was
surprised.
literally processing in real time, like
Yeah.
why?
I think that's what I asked you. Like, you still like me?
That was the second time, but I'll
I
tell
th-
you, we'll get to that in a moment
okay.
too.
All
I
right.
don't remember you saying that the first time.
I think I said it both times.
Maybe you did.
Cause yeah, I mean, which I've told you afterwards, like especially during when we get to the next segment of when we made it official.
Yeah.
Like, I was not looking for like a girlfriend.
And I understand that now.
Yeah.
It was also, I forgot to point out too that he had no idea the entire senior year that I had this secret crush on him. But even though I would literally use my attendance hour because I had like senior, you can take filler classes with other like I worked in the attendance office,
Mm.
so my job was to go to all the classrooms, collect their attendance, and then bring it back to the attendance office before that period ended. I literally intentionally zoomed through all the other classes and always spent the entirety of the rest of that period in the jazz class that he was helping in. It was like freshman piano or some theory or something like that. He would help in
Yeah.
sign. And I literally would always intentionally end my attendance period there just so I can come hang out with you.
Mm.
That's all.
I thought you was I thought you was also spying on me too.
The reason I was finding because I didn't do it because
But
it was nothing but girls in that class.
yeah.
Okay, so prom happened. I said what I needed to say, and nothing really became of that. But that same summer, I also had the opportunity to go to the national levels of the NAACP AXO competition. I didn't have to get into that, yeah.
Mm.
I don't know if they still do that, but it's this really amazing thing they do for high schoolers of color, of black high schoolers.
Mm.
And then we would audition in different sectors of the arts and oratory. There was playwrights, there was music composition. You would do the regional level first. And then if you won in your region, then you would go on to the national level when all the regional winners essentially would come together and then compete. I did AXO twice, but and I went to nationals twice. But this particular year, I really needed help because I was performing How High the Moon, and I was practicing. I needed help practicing accompaniment because back then we didn't really have a whole lot of. We didn't have technology. Like, look up this YouTube instrumental and blah, blah, blah,
And
blah.
I had already, if I remember right, I played that with you already, right?
You did, right, because we played it in lab. So I was spending a lot of time with Quinten at his house, just practicing. Also, you know what it was too? Because I also did flute. I did the flute category at nationals, and I'm pretty sure I played Nika's Dream. And I don't think that I had music at the time for that. I'm pretty sure the way. Either way, I was practicing at Q's house a lot. And I was just like, it was July. I was just like, it was literally like a few days, or maybe not a day before I left for DC. And he was dropping me off. He was also very courteous because he never intentionally like left me out. Because Quinten had a car at the time, and he would always drop me off, Or if I did when I did have to get on the bus because you didn't have a car forever, like you didn't have a car forever.
That's true. I can't be mad.
You would still accompany me. Is what I'm saying. Like either way, no matter how, I was never left like quite alone. So I appreciated that. But this particular juncture, you would drop me off, and I was just like, I have to do something because I was spending a lot of time with you, and I was like, I still like him, and I just want to know if like anything could happen with this before we graduate and go off to different schools. You were going to the HBCU, you were going to Lincoln, and I was going to Stevens Point at the time for some reason, and like, like I was like, I just want to see what happens. So we were getting ready to get out, and I was just like, what would happen? What would happen if I kissed you? And you was like, essentially, it's like, why would you? I don't know. Why would you want to do that? Some shit like that. And I was like, well, Quinten, I like you. You was like, you still on that? So that's my memory.
I did, yeah.
That's my distinct memory of you saying that
Yeah.
phrase. And I was like, oh my God. So at that point, it became like a challenge. Not to mention, I completely forgot to say, the entire senior year, I also tried to woo you with my feminine wiles because I used to wear Quinten's coat. I forgot about this. It was cold. We lived in Milwaukee. It was always cold somewhere.
I didn't forget about any of this.
I used to wear Quinten's coat, and then I would give it back to him before the end of the day. And what I would do is I would go and I would secretly spray Love Spell, Victoria's Secret Love Spell. Because this is what I was thinking in movies, in TV. And they're like, oh, this if your clothes smell like this person, then that makes them think of that person. So I was like, what if my scent was on Quinten's stuff? And he would think of Brittany. And they would just want to be like, that was like literally my logic. Now, mind you, at this point, who the hell knows that Brittany wears Love Spell? You know what I'm saying? Everybody in high school wore a love spell, so I really could have smelled like any bitch.
And the thing is, once you get to know me and understand I have bad seasonal allergies
Yeah.
year round.
Oh God.
So this perfume, if we're gonna call it that,
It is.
like it didn't smell bad, but it made me sneeze the entire ride
I'm
home.
so sorry.
So yeah, this whole thing was just built off of inconvenience. Like I'm on the bus. Like at the time, I was on the bus because you're right, I didn't have a car fare.
Mhm.
But I'm on the bus, just like hacking shit up.
Oh no.
I'm like, what does my coat smell like this?
Oh God.
What
These smell
happened?
like bad apples or
Yeah.
something.
It did.
So I had been.
Ugh.
So the point is, I had been doing all of that already, and it got me nowhere. So the kiss, the prompt for the kiss to me was like my move it or lose it. You know what I mean? It was like you either try this and it works, or you try it and it don't, and then who's gonna care? You're both going to different colleges. You're still friends. Not gonna matter. So I took it as like, okay, well, let's do it and see what happens. And then started as a little peck. He's like, oh, okay. You said, oh, shit. Or something like that. You're like,
That sounds very much like
It's
some shit I
very-
would say.
It does. And it was just made out for a little bit, you know?
Mm.
Yeah. It was very nice. Then I went in the house. And then I was like, oh. And I skipped over a lot of other stuff too, because there was also a time where we went to Summerfest together, or at least I thought we had a Summerfest date. But it essentially was just like Quinten he was going with all of his friends, and he just happened to tell me he was gonna be there. So I like got all dressed up and shit, thinking I was going to see Chris Brown, whoever with Quinten, and you was there with all your niggas, and I was like, what is going on?
We were squatted up. We had the bourbon.
Oh
We
my
was
God.
deep in the bourbon.
It was so many instances, y'all, where I was like swinging and losing, okay? But but I think that the kiss for me just was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think for both of us, because neither one of us knew like what it would have like. It could have made or broken the situation altogether. Oh, but I think we both kind of felt something.
I agree.
Yeah.
I say that was the turning point because that was the point where I just kind of like just went with the flow. Like, let's see
Yeah.
what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, you were or still are, but
Mhm.
at the time you were like you were a friend to me.
Yeah.
Like you wasn't just some pow in the hood. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So I'm like, okay, why not? Let's
Yeah.
give it a shot. See where it goes. And I mean, it kind of escalated into a 19-year relationship after
And
that.
I think because that the entire you have to know also the entire rest of that summer we spent together until we both went to college. Like it literally kind of just turned into this. Oh, I don't think we realized that we were together until we finally were just like, well, when did we actually are we in a relationship or something like that? You know, it was like, yeah, I was introduced to my mom. That was like your logic, like because you introduced me to your parents, I was your girlfriend. So I was like, well, damn, I guess we probably should establish so that we both have an understanding because we kind of just rolled into it. So we chose July 10th, which was the date of the kiss, to be our official Genesis relation of the Be Free and Q saga. So now Be Free and Q are ultimately a thing. Finally.
Yes.
Okay. We did not plan it
At all.
We did not anticipate it. And because we didn't plan it, we did not predict how we were going to navigate the rest of the time after that. Because as I mentioned, we already had separate plans to go to different schools. I was going to UW Stevens Point with an intention of majoring in jazz. You were going to
Lincoln
University in
with,
Pennsylvania.
Concentration in music ed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were just kind of like, well, let's just roll with it and see what happens. We rolled ourselves into a long distance relationship, which I still cannot believe to this day that we survived, especially as freshmen.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it was new to all of us. Everything was new. I think the only reason why I was personally able to get through because I had so many distractions. Like some of my best friends also happened to go to Point. So I spent every waking moment of time with Dana and Tim and Cortez. So it was like I didn't have a whole lot of time. I missed you obviously, but I had other ways to occupy my time.
For sure, yeah.
Sometimes more than I should have because I don't know. At a point I was not doing great.
I was going to mention.
I
that.
ended up on academic probation a little bit, just a tiny bit.
Mhm,
I was
mhm.
having too much fun. It was my first time away from I had never been away from home. You know what I'm saying? What you mean I'm supposed to be responsible for my schedule? I'm supposed to be, you know what I'm saying? Like it was a lot, and not to mention, theory has never been my strong suit. Ironically, despite me being a teacher, despite me I just always hated theory. Quinten helped me get through my theory classes.
did.
I was on the phone with him doing my homework. Like it also helped that we both had the same both of our colleges were both using the Benward and Saker music theory book.
For sure, yeah.
So he actually knew what page I was on and everything. So thank you so much for saving my college career.
But
I'll
send you my bill.
Right. Aside from that though, like I was ready to go in particular because I being at point, there was a lot of other things going on. I did experience some racial tension. You know, not gonna lie, I had a couple of we had a sit-in. Me and my friends hosted a sit-in. That was the whole thing. But in general, you were like the first relationship of this type that I had experienced, or I didn't know how to navigate it apart. And I felt like since I'm already not really feeling it here too much, let me just see what would happen if I flip the script. Because mind you, Point is a completely predominantly white institution. It's a PWI. What would happen if I went to an HBCU? It might sound better. Not to mention Timothy Fair. He got me all hyped up because he wanted to leave Point too. Most of us, mind you, both of us auditioned and got into Howard University, okay? And I was like, yes, okay, Tim, we about to be out there. I was listening to Afro Blue. I auditioned to get in the vocal jazz. Like I had made all the plans. Granted, it was fun to plan because once I actually got my acceptance letter, they did not say anything about a financial assistance.
Yeah, you can come.
They was like, if you can make it, we got a seat for you. It's pretty much what it became.
Yeah.
I was not getting no aid. But then when I got my acceptance to Lincoln, it also was like, yes, and you know what I'm saying? Like, here is your financial aid package. So that was essentially why as well that led. I kind of was led to go to Lincoln.
Quick question. What was I mean, the obvious. You know, I went there, but what was the like what made you apply to Lincoln specifically?
I think honestly I just got hyped up. I got hyped up because me and Tim. I'm not blaming you, Tim, obviously, but I do feel like I got like invigorated because we were absorbing Black culture. We were absorbing HBCU culture. We were all because it was everywhere. Because that was the time YouTube had just got popping too.
For sure.
So
yeah.
I was like seeing all of it, and I was like seeing what you were doing, and you know, and he painted such a vivid picture for me, you know, and then it was that coupled with it being like the antithesis of what I was experiencing. And just the whole root of it, I just genuinely missed you. So I was like, I know what it's like to be in a relationship apart. What would it be like to navigate this relationship in the same place? Because we had never done that aside from being in Milwaukee.
Correct.
You know? So all of those things culminated, but I was just salty as hell because I was the only one that kept going. Tim was like, never mind. And I was like, what? we had a plan, man. So, but it's fine. God knew what he was doing. You know, it was still hilarious to me though.
You
but
were literally Rita from Sister Act.
Yeah.
So much for friendship.
So much for friendship. Goodness gracious. But funny enough, I got to Lincoln. I hated it there too. Look at that. Look at Rennie Dooney.
You were miserable.
The irony. Oh my God. My sophomore year was ass, bro. It was terrible. I had the roommate from hell. Like, and it was just like, but nobody cared about the fact that I was a transfer student. They just treated me like a fucking freshman.
Correct.
The entire time. And it was just like, what? You know what I mean? It was such stark differences too, because at the PWIs, they don't care about who's in whose room for however. Like people were sleeping in whomever's room. All you know, there was boys in my dorm all the time, but at the HBCUs, there was curfews.
Yes.
There were curfews. So I literally could not be caught caught, mind you, in
Mhm.
Quinten's room after a certain amount of time at night. They would do sweeps, and then if you yeah.
Yeah, they find people for
They
that shit.
did. They did. And it was we really, really tried to do some crafty things. I think there was an instance where I needed absolutely he needed to pee very badly. And I was like, let me just put one of your hoodies on. And I was like, let me just go to the back. I'm like, it was like had to be like whatever. I come out, why is there a security guard? So I'm gonna say I put on my strongest. I swear to
I didn't
God.
know you did
I
this.
did, because I am an actor. I'm a method actress, sir. So I
I'm
was like,
kind of mad I missed this.
so I put my hood on. I tried to band these down, you know what I'm saying? And I put on my strongest little, like thuggish.
You were walking like a blaxploitation pimp in the hallway.
I wanted to look like a boy. I didn't want to know it was me.
Oh my God.
Didn't work. Nah, he kicked me the freak out. It was, and then you came out in the hallway like, what's going on? I was like, don't worry about it. I didn't want you to get in trouble. He just kicked me out.
Okay.
I didn't go back because I didn't want him to know whose room I was in. I didn't want you to get fined.
For sure.
But it was stuff like that when I was just like, ugh, you know what I'm saying? Eventually you get used to it. But and then also I will say a lot of the reasons why I didn't enjoy myself in college had to do with me. I had a completely very like squared, sheltered personality and also a slightly, which is funny because I'm not an only child, but I had a really slight air of uppityness about me that I didn't think that I really like knew. But that's not my fault. This just wasn't the personality I was reared in. I wasn't taught how to engage in things that I wasn't comfortable in. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So with time, I'm fine now. But I'm like, it took me literally up until my senior year at Lincoln to truly, truly like start enjoying the experience.
For sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is when I start because you got all in. You pledged. You know what I mean? You your Sigma. Yeah, and I also pledged not a Greek for sir. I'm swing by swing. It's a social fellowship. But the point is, yeah, we survived that. But then also, you spent a little bit longer in school than I did because I finished and I ended up coming back to Milwaukee and I ended up by myself again for a good amount of time. But that summer after I graduated, was fine for us at least. That was a rocky time in life, but we were fine. But I essentially didn't know what I was doing again. But I was like, I don't have a choice but to keep going through school because I could not get a job. Nobody was hiring nobody with a bachelor of music degree. So I ended up going. Luckily, one of our professors at Lincoln. Shout outs to Dr. Is it Dr. Professor Johnson? Professor Johnson.
Yeah, Professor.
Professor Johnson. Shout out to him because he got me a great recommendation into Vandercook College of Music in Chicago. Also, shout out to Dr. Mark Jacoby, our music technology teacher at Lincoln, because he also taught at Vandercook.
I always thought that the vocal teacher got you the recommendation.
Everybody did.
Okay.
It was a collective effort.
Like what's her name? Archambault?
Dr. Archambault. Hey,
yeah.
yes. No, it was a collective effort of just all these different.
But shout out to Johnson too.
Yeah, it didn't hurt that I had like alumni and current staff like vouching for me. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. Yeah.
So yeah, I ended up going to spend 2 whole complete years separate from you, and which was different than freshman year because freshman year was like, okay, we don't know what's going on. I don't know, but I think this I kind of had. I knew what the role was. It wasn't just me playing around. I came with a specific goal. I have to get my master's. I have to finish this. It was a master's and certification program, by the way. So because I only had a bachelor's degree in music, I had to get certified as well because anybody, like, you was on the music ed track, anybody that already took music ed courses with your bachelor's of music ed, you already got certified with all that testing. And so the master's was just another layer on that. I literally had to get like 2 degrees at once.
Correct.
Which is what I appreciate about Vandercook because the fact that they even had that as an option. So during the fall and spring, I was going to school with the undergrads, essentially, taking all the same classes as them. And then the summertime, the entire summer, I was taking the master's level classes in order to get my certification. So I was in school year round for those 2 years.
Yeah.
And of course, we had like small stints of, a couple weeks here and there of break, between seasons and
Mhm.
semesters and things. But I really did appreciate that time apart.
Yes.
Honestly, and I mentioned this to you before because I felt like I only really knew my identity as being another half of something.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And that was just it probably was the way I built it, but I felt like who I didn't really get a chance to really learn who I was as a human being, as an individual, until I spent those 2 years by myself, which I greatly appreciate. And shout out and rest in peace to my beautiful Auntie Betty for letting me stay in her apartment in Beverly for free.
Yeah, rest in peace, Betty.
Yes, because she knew that I was there for a purpose. She was like, I know you don't have money. I didn't have anything to get into the dorms. Like it was like there was the same situation with financial aid. It was whack. But yeah, so I was out, but she also, because she was older, she went to bed at like 5. Every night she went to bed at 5 p.m. So I was essentially by myself a lot, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because I was coming home. I didn't get home from classes oftentimes because I had to ride. It took me 2 hours to get home from the train and the bus from the loop of Chicago into Beverly. So it was like me driving from Milwaukee to Chicago every day. But that's another
Correct.
story. I think personally it was probably helpful for you too.
No, I think it was beneficial to the entire relationship
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like, or at least I just heard you say it. Yeah, it was an identity thing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we've been spending all this time together, and I don't want to say the time together was detrimental,
Mm-hmm.
but it didn't help us develop as individuals,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I
So
understand
I
that now.
think we were talking about this a while ago. Like I separate our relationship into 2 phases. I
Mm-hmm.
guess 3 now, because marriage. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, because the beginning phases, it's just us, college and high school or post high school,
Mm-hmm.
where we were just young and just under each other's skin all the time.
Yeah.
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 This shit can get annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I would assume every like couple goes through it,
Mm-hmm.
or just a friendship in general. You need space.
You do.
I'm very much a space guy, and I mean, I guess you're a lot less of a space
A
person than
lot
I am.
less. You're so kind. I'm very clingy.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, no, I don't think you understood that a great deal when we were younger.
No.
Like, bro, I like being alone. Like, I like my house. This is where my shit is.
Mm-hmm.
I like my alone time.
Yeah.
I'm very much that type of person. Even younger, um, yeah, because I had a house full of motherfuckers then at home. But I had 2 older brothers. I was always like in the middle because my brothers were older than I am by 4 or 5 years. My sister is younger than me by 6 years, and she's a girl, so she not gonna be interested in the shit I did. Yeah, I at a very young age, I had like imaginary friends and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
and granted, I had a ton of friends in the
Uh-huh.
neighborhood and shit, but still, like, I think I realized that early on about myself. Like, I like my solitude,
Yeah.
and I feel like during our early relationship, I didn't have a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we went to school together.
Yeah.
Nigga,
It
he
was
was
you
always there.
you didn't have the time. You didn't get the
Mm.
time to properly grow into your own
Yeah.
that college is supposed to give you because you essentially were given the responsibility. And again, this is only retrospect that we can
Mhm.
say this. You were given the responsibility for maintaining a whole ass relationship with somebody
For sure.
while you were still trying to maintain yourself,
Mhm.
And that it just because again, that was not something that we were experienced in, that can make or break a lot of people.
For sure. Yeah.
And I greatly, greatly appreciate, I can just say, if it was not for those 2 years that we spent deliberately apart, like we were still together, mind you, we were still very much in a
Yeah.
relationship, but physically apart.
Mhm.
I think that lends itself a great deal to how we currently operate in our current dynamic.
Correct.
Because B has this going. I have a lot of stuff going on all the time.
Yes.
Even if it's not busy work, I have a lot of specific things that I just like to do alone. You know what I mean? Like that I know Quinn don't have any care in the world about. no, Quinten don't want to watch the Sex and the City Girlfriends marathon. You know what I mean? It's like stuff like
We
I,
still watch.
but you know what I
Yeah.
mean. Like
Mm.
I think us forging the secret to us surviving 2 long distance periods of our relationships came from distance,
Yeah.
ironically. You know what I mean? Because the growth that we both individually experienced during the 2 years that we were apart when I was at grad school only solidified who we were as people and also started just this whole new dynamic of we were different people than when we started. You know
Correct.
what I mean? We started as kids. Essentially, we were just 17 and 18. So 18, you
18.
just turned 18.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
but my point being,
Ugh.
but you know what I mean. My
I know
point
what you
being
mean.
is that we became our own separate people. The Quinten and the Brittany that were in their relationship was not the Quinten and Brittany that became separate folks.
For sure. Yeah.
So those 2 people had to then make the conscious choice to show up for each other and reintroduce themselves to each other every day and make a conscientious effort to grow into a new version of what we are.
Correct.
Does that make sense?
I agree with that.
Yeah. So I think that was definitely accredited to us being able to take that look back of like, okay, this is okay, bet. I'm just gonna like, so essentially, after I graduated, I came back to Milwaukee and it was a whole period of me being unhomed for a little bit. I stayed with you and your shout out to my dad, shout out to Bobby Farr, my father-in-law. He let me stay with y'all for a little stint, which was awesome. But it wasn't super long because I ended up getting a job teaching full-time music. So from there, we ended up moving into our first apartment together.
Correct.
At this point, listen, I didn't really care because I know people got different reservations and what is for you is for you. But I will say the only reason that this works is because he and I spent that time married or like living together and learning each other's patter. Because aside from us being 2 different folks, I didn't know what it was like to live with this man. We have very specific different needs.
Yeah, there was only glimpses in college.
Yeah.
Just being in the dorms.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm sorry to all of the church folks that may not agree with that, but no, I am definitely for living together.
Yeah.
Before
before making that established.
Yeah.
And I'm not let me be clear. I'm not supporting that being like the only thing you do. I very much do think that everything should come with it if that's what y'all both desire. I'm not gonna be out here vouching for just being a consistent what's it called? What's the term for it?
Shacking, pro shacker.
Not even that. I think it's called common law.
No.
Law like marriage. You know what I'm saying? That being said, we lived together for a few years, and every year that passed was awesome. But I eventually, I started to get a little restless. Started to get a little restless because I realized, it was like year 9. Anniversary came and went. I was like, he still hasn't done the thing. He still ain't done the thing. I didn't know if the thing was going to come. To the point where I was plotting. Be clear, I was never going to do anything. I was never going to go anywhere. But I was so upset and distraught at the possibility of you not doing anything that I was plotting and I was walking the track with my sister and like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to leave. I'm going to be single, be free. And la, 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 la. And it was like me being Rasputin. And that's what it was. How you do it. And that's what it pretty much started. I preface this, I emphasize the fact I was completely bullshitting. Like I was not going to act on any of these things, but it was me expressing,
Nah, you went on your march. I heard you was marching like a motherfucker.
I was marching on the Zion, sir. Oh my gosh. But I would like to say that eventually we found our way to this point of this is where we're going to be doing forever. So I want you to tell in a brief manner, mind you, the engagement story.
Yes. So this is where we are.
Yeah.
As we previously said, we've been living together for a while and just figuring out, 1, that situation, and 2, the place in the world from my end. Because, after school, I just realized I don't actually like kids that much. And so just figuring out, what I want to do. I did end up, getting a job. It was funny. It was like the first job after school where it was just like a quick, like little summer thing. All right, I need to get some bread. It was like cleaning company. But eventually I ended up working there for 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
Worked my way up to account executive, like area manager
Mm-hmm.
type of thing. So by this time, like I'm establishing myself as a person, with what's the word I'm looking for?
Stature.
Not stature, but
Um,
it's not consistency, but
mhm.
like every
Stability.
stability. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
Stability was a big thing because
Yeah.
yeah, like the early 20s, shit was not stable.
No, not at all.
And this was back when apartments cost, $675 a month, which is
Mm, the good old
that
those were
that ain't coming back
the
at
days.
all.
No. Oh my gosh.
But no, so I'm finally growing up. I'm getting some stability,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think around the age of I would say like 26, 27, between that age
Mm-hmm.
was like, yeah, I've been talking to, family. It's like, yeah, I'm thinking about making this official. I'm gonna marry this
You
girl.
had conversations with your family. I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Like my
Oh,
cousins and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay, go ahead.
yeah. I mean, yeah, you know this now. You on the war path.
I
Yeah.
know.
So yeah, doing all of this and I'm saving up money because one at the time didn't have a lot of that going
Mm.
on. As far as saving, like we were good with paying bills and all of that shit.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to build a life together, you got to have some back pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So I was working on that, saving money, and I was looking for rings.
Mm.
Yeah. The whole time she out there on the warpath. I think no, by the time that did happen, I think no, I didn't have it at the time, but I was like searching. Like if you would have looked at my laptop, you would have seen that shit.
Oh,
'Cause
okay.
I wasn't like deleting history or none of that shit. But I'm up here saving money, trying to do the right thing,
Mm-hmm.
buy the ring. And I had to make sure it was the right ring because I know you and your personality. Like it had to fit your personality, which I think I did a pretty good job
Yeah.
on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I had this whole thing set up, like, cause year 9, you was crying and shit. And I was
Dang,
like,
I ain't talking about why you had to put me out like that. Why you had to play me out? I ain't even talking about cry.
anybody
You ain't
listening
like,
to
come on
this,
now, like you trying to
no.
chump me? You trying to play me like a chump?
Anybody
What is
listening to
that?
this know you had tears.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Okay, whatever.
so
Go ahead with your story.
you was crying. But yeah, you was like, yeah, man, this is what I really wanted to happen, blah, blah, blah.
Jesus.
And I was like, okay, yeah. So
What a punk. Go ahead.
yes, very much. So all of that. So I'm thinking like, okay, it's either gonna be, I've told you this, like it's either gonna be our anniversary or it's gonna be your birthday because I don't have the capacity to remember any more days,
Mm-hmm.
because no, let's
Mm-hmm.
combine this shit together. So had the plan in motion. Needed the extra time because money
Mm-hmm.
for the ring, but like yeah, I'm gonna do this on her birthday. I originally had plans
Mm-hmm.
to do it at where we had our first
We
date.
forgot to mention our first date. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So I mean,
Wait, well, before you get to that,
Hmm?
let's just point out that that summer that we spent together, we were doing a lot. We were hanging out, but I wanted an actual date. And I
Mhm.
was like, we have to actually physically plan to go somewhere. Again, like nobody had money.
Yeah, and you had a lot of high expectations with
But
this.
what I think I
kid.
knew how to do was buy some chicken in JJ's specifically, and I love pizza puffs. So we literally went to JJ's and got some lemon dusted wings and some pizza puffs, and we went to the park up the street from my house, and I laid like a little blanket out, and we had a JJ's picnic.
Yeah.
Granted, it was dark. It
Very
got dark real fast. I don't know what happened to the sun.
It was a very dangerous
It was
situation.
not smart. I was on the south side, okay? Like, that was crazy. But we had an unintentionally moonlit JJ's picnic dinner. And so that is the part that you were trying to return to, essentially.
Yes.
Okay.
I was. Thank you for the
Yeah.
synopsis. 'Cause damn, we did forget that.
I completely forgot.
It's been 19 years.
Yeah.
But so I had this whole plan. I had we were gonna go there, have some JJ's, obviously, because that's kind of our shit.
Yeah.
JJ's in the park. I had a guitar player that was gonna come and play and
You
sing.
thought it was a singer?
It was a guitar player.
I thought you told me it was a singer.
Guitar player.
Oh.
Who also sings.
Okay.
But granted, the shit didn't happen. The spoiler alert, shit didn't happen.
Yeah. Because
The guy canceled on me last minute. I'll save.
which also didn't matter because the night of this, it was raining cats and dogs.
So it would have been terrible.
It was raining buckets.
Yeah.
So that would have completely just now that I knew where I knew, I was like, that was just gonna be bad.
But no, this was a few days before. The guy told me couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So
to this day, he's never told me who this person was, and honestly, I don't care anymore.
It doesn't matter
because I'm like, do I really want to know?
That's just gonna be another person to hate.
Another person to add to my list. Yeah. But go ahead.
With that being said, I had a few days. I'm thinking what I want to do because one, I already bought this damn ring, so I'm going to use it. It ain't
going nowhere.
It ain't going nowhere. So I made reservations to. I was looking for the fanciest restaurant at the time that I could afford.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the Capitol Grill,
which we went to for Valentine's Day.
Yeah,
I think
because I took you there the year before, and this was an important thing that you didn't remember until the day, I think.
Yeah, no.
I told you because we had the conversation after the 9th anniversary and how you felt. You told me all of that. And I was like, okay, well, the next time we come to this place, I am going to. I forgot the exact word. I think I said I'm going to propose to you, or we're going to be already engaged.
It was
something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remembered that after my whole plans got canceled by rain and unprofessionalism. But so I made the reservation. I'm okay. Yeah, this is what we're gonna do. And we got there, and the funniest shit happened in the world where you couldn't get your zipper to work on your coat.
That was just such a. That's such a Jim Carrey ass thing that happened to me, bro. I swear. I literally was like, fuck it. And our rips, I just ended up
she bust through the coat like the hawk.
Oh, it was terrible. That coat.
Bruce Banner ass. But
so the hostess was looking like, what is going on? Anyway, go ahead.
So at this point, I knew I was gonna propose to you. And I had my family all, they were all, involved. They were almost spoiled the shit. I'm pretty sure they did because you knew what was going on. These niggas kept calling me during the dinner. Did you do it yet? I told y'all I was going to call y'all when I finished and everything was copacetic. They called me every 15 minutes. Shout out to family. I love you.
Listen.
You guys are awesome.
Listen, let me just say, I wanted you to have your moment.
Mm-hmm.
I had speculation. I didn't know for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But the only reason I had speculation because I was like, why is his family calling so often on my birthday of all days?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, so if it wasn't that, it was some kind of surprise party or whatever. Yeah. I was just like, why do they keep consistently calling him back to back on September 18th? But go ahead.
Just throwing all types of salt on the game. But so at this point, I just we finished our meal and everything, which I love the Capitol Grill.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best steaks I've ever had.
Delicioso.
But I grabbed, I think the bartender or waitress, one of the employees of the Capitol Grill, and just asked them to could you take a video for me? My wife's birthday and or excuse me, my girlfriend at the time's birthday.
Yeah, you said.
Yeah, so got the person. They said sure, I'll record it. And I was trying to remember exactly what I said. I can't remember, but just saying, it's my girlfriend's birthday. I love her very much. Yada yada yada. And it's 10 years, and I don't plan on her being my girlfriend forever. And that's when I
was sitting there like,
yeah.
What's going on? What's going on?
So that's when I got reach in the back pocket, grab that fat ass rock out of my shit. And yeah, just I asked her to be my wife.
Oh,
And she started crying and shit.
of
Like
course.
she always started crying.
I cried a lot. I
Yeah.
cried at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
I love my ring.
Yeah.
Get into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what's so beautiful about it is that it's an infinity ring.
Yes.
And it's not like, oh, I saw this and thought of it. It's distinctly he bought it because I know Brittany is not gonna remember which side is up.
Yes.
It was like, I'm trying to eliminate stress from your life.
Yes.
It don't matter which way you put this ring on, it's always gonna be correct. So I
Yes.
appreciate you knowing me that well.
Mhm.
So that's what it is.
It took a lot of time and effort into
Yeah.
figuring it out. But I'm like, as soon as I saw it, this fits because
Yeah.
it's practical and it looks
Mhm.
good.
Yeah,
So,
I love it. And it's held up quite nicely.
Yes.
So thank you.
Of course.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to skip ahead because clearly the engagement happened.
Mhm.
It was a short engagement, honestly, in retrospect, because most people get engaged for like a year minimally, a year and a half, sometimes 2. We only been engaged for like 8 months, I want to say.
8 or 9.
Something like that.
Whatever the distance is between
It was
them.
it was September because how ironically, y'all, July 10th of the next year was our 10-year
Mhm.
relationship anniversary.
Right.
So I was not going to be out for the count. I was like, we are getting married on this significant ass day.
No, and that's when I brought it up again. Like,
Yeah.
we got to pick a day for this, and
Uh-huh.
obviously your birthday passed, so anniversary it is.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking for me, because I bought the ring, I was ready.
Yeah.
We already had we'd been in a relationship for 9 years,
Right. And not to mention,
yeah.
I think it's also ironic that the venue that we were looking at, that was literally the only date they had open.
Correct.
For that entire summer. So it was definitely an MTB thing for sure. Getting the road to the altar was long. There's a lot of ups and downs, but I loved what I was planning because I wanted a musical wedding. The wedding was a concert experience, okay? It only made sense. You got 2 musicians doing a thing, okay? Why would we not have a musical wedding? The wedding invitations were concert tickets.
Yeah, it was super
Get into
cool.
it, yeah. The wedding RSVPs were tape decks. Shout out to my homies and the art teachers at Milwaukee Montessori School for making that for me. You know what I'm saying?
Why you getting gully?
I don't know where this came from, but it's necessary.
Jeez,
The point being, it was I paid attention to every detail to a T. I was like, I want every placemat or like every table placing was a portrait of a different musical artist.
Yeah.
So rather than it being numbers, it was like, oh, you're sitting at the Kendrick Lamar table. You guys are sitting at the Esperanza Spalding table.
And the Coltrane table.
Exactly. All of the wedding guest books were records. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to our mom-in-law for donating those.
Yeah.
We really looked into every detail and music everywhere. Our wonderful friends played in the band. So we met one of our greatest friends now, Curtis Crumbs Jr.
Yeah,
He played keys for us.
Shout out to C-Note.
C-Note. But listen, like, that was all well and good, but I'm honestly just gonna skip the most headachy part about that day because there was a lot of snafus. I was a bride fucking zilla, and not even because I was trying to be, because people were playing in my face all day. The biggest qualm out of all the qualms, I got to the venue. I got there first because I needed to make sure I met my makeup artist to actually need to start me first. Why these motherfuckers gonna tell me the parking that we literally, because you had to pay at we got married at the War Memorial Center in Milwaukee, downtown. Why they gonna tell me that my stuff was not on the list?
Yeah, we paid a good grip for
We
that,
paid a good amount of money to specifically book out that entire parking lot, and you're gonna tell me that my name is not on the list, and then they let me inside to come sort it out, and they proceeded to tell me for like a good 15 minutes that my name was not on that list. I even tried to call my wedding, and also the lady who was coordinating our wedding didn't tell us that she herself wasn't going to be there. And then I told them no, you better call that bitch because she got my money. They called her. They claimed they called her, and they said that she said we didn't have it either. I kid you the fuck not, Quinten.
Yeah.
This is what they told me. They told me that lady fixed her mouth to say that she didn't have our deposit.
I believe all of
So
it.
I was like upstairs, as we know Brittany does. I went upstairs and had a freaking fit. I fell out and I called my mama because I was like, what is going on? And then the next thing I did was I called you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, I know. Well, mind you, we're not supposed to see each other. I avoided. I didn't even come. I think I popped home for something. I made him stay in the bathroom so he wouldn't see me. I was like, I can't deal with this. I don't know what's going on. Other people were starting to arrive. Our wedding party was starting to get there. This motherfucker comes from the apartment. They literally were like, oh yeah, it's your name right there.
Correct. It was
And
super
this
easy.
is why, reason number 462, why I have a list of people and things and incidents. Because this is the type of shit that only happens to me. It only happens to me. They intentionally did that to fuck with me. I don't know why they would do that on my wedding day. They probably see this all the time, being a high trafficked wedding venue. They decided to get their jollies that day by messing with B on her day and convincing her that she was fucking crazy. I cannot stand being made out to be a liar. That's one of my biggest qualms of life. I cannot stand being told that I'm wrong when I know that I'm right. So I was very upset at the fact that it literally took you less than 30 seconds to drive all the way from where we the north side and then come and fix that.
No, it was super simple too. But I walked up to the security desk, like, hey, I'm just checking on parking for the wedding today under FAR. Oh yeah, I got you down right here. All right, bet. Because you called me, I think you screeched. You didn't even talk. You were just screeching for like a good 4 minutes. Like, quit these people playing my motherfucking thing. I can't believe it. You better go. You better find that bitch. You better find it. Like, oh. All right, let me take care of it.
Be found because regardless of what's happening, you made off of my money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I just calm down. I'm gonna come down there and take care of it. I went down there, took care of it, went home, and finished. Like, this was before I even showered and shit.
Mm-hmm.
I was down there musty as a motherfucker.
Oh,
but it was cool.
I'm so sorry.
I wasn't musty at the wedding.
No, you
I
weren't.
did
You were able to get yourself together.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that incident, that particular way that played out, is also unfortunately the dynamic of our relationship.
Very much.
Brittany is the one that panics first. B is the one that flips out because she cannot believe that things are happening, and Quinten is usually the calm, level-headed person that literally has to come and get into it. And then everything is fine, which is why we have developed a common phrase in our relationship that is known as Quinten knows best. Yes. And he drops it at the most inopportune times where it's like, well.
No, it's actually the most opportune time when this shit happens. Because we'll go over a plan.
Yeah.
And we'll we give suggestions. And then you're like, yeah, well, let's try it this way first. I'm like, all right, I know how it's gonna play out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you get your rocks off.
Well, I think that aside from that, the day turned out, the ceremony was beautiful. Yes. I keep saying but I curated it essentially. But we
I have no problem admitting that.
No, I curated the hell out of that wedding. Every single movement, every section of the wedding had a specific song associated with it. The moment where our parents came in, they walked into Molly music, beautiful people, or something like beautiful. And then where the groomsmen and bridesmaids walked in, it was Hey by King. Look it up if you don't know what I'm talking about. Most beautiful song in the world. And it was intentional. One, because we both loved that song.
Yeah, it's a very beautiful song.
Two, it was also rooted in E minor. The reason I needed that to happen was because it was going to transition into Happily Ever After by Case, which is the most beautiful wedding song in all existence, which I knew ever since I was 11 years old that I was going to walk down the aisle to. So it was very much a thing where I needed that movement, that E minor section, to segue into the E minor piano for bing, I needed that point to happen so that the naked ear would think like, oh, this is cool, this is lovely. But the musicians in the room, because we had our family and people there, they'd be like, oh, I wanted everybody to have those musical intrinsics throughout the entire thing. And it worked that way perfectly. And I
like how you light up when you talk about this.
I do. And then even like the reception, because the theme of the wedding was go far, right? We had that was our little wedding tagline. One of our good friends, Kellen Classic Abstin, shout out to my homie. He actually has a song called Go Far. And he actually performed that live while we walked in the wedding party. The cocktail hour was beautiful. Shout out to Sister Strings for providing this amazing orchestral music with violin and cello.
Oh shit, yeah.
Like,
Shout out to classic
right.
and Sister String.
Yes,
God
exactly.
damn.
Like,
I'm
yeah.
just up there listening to the story like, damn,
You like, that sounds good. That sounds fun. Who, can I go?
Yeah. It's a Lifetime movie.
It really is. But my point being, like, every aspect of that day was specifically thought out to be the most beautiful reflections of who we are and our values.
Yes.
But I think that because people often ask us all the time when they realize the magnitude of length of how long we've been together, like, damn, y'all been together that long? You know what I'm saying? Like, how are you doing this? Number one, we are both friends. Our relationship literally stemmed from a friendship. So if this wasn't a situation where we didn't know how to be friends first, we literally our core of our relationship birthed from just organicness in that sense. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And I think that being the foundation is truly what made all this work. This is my nigga. Okay. Like, especially now of all today. We laugh so freaking much. There's like me and Quinten have
this house is hilarious.
This house, and y'all can't even hear
It's
half
very
the stuff we
hilarious.
talk about because only about 65% of it's politically correct. You know what I'm saying? But I guarantee you, me and him even have like a shared Google document of just writing down the funniest shit we've ever said because we cannot believe it sometimes about the stuff that comes out of each one of our mouths. But also, I will say the friendship, but also the fact that we are literally both musicians.
Yes.
We are both.
That plays a big part.
It plays a huge part in it because we don't have to have the struggle of trying to fit one person's lifestyle or desires or dreams around one another's. They're all rooted within the same space. And we both literally have the same rearing. We both went to the same high school. We both, granted you have jazz piano versus my flute and voice, but you know what I mean? Like, shout out to the fact that also this man, if you didn't know, he was in concert choir with me at Lincoln.
That's right, yeah.
At Lincoln University.
I was the bass section leader.
Quinten Farr can sing. Okay? Anybody asks him, he will deny it till the roof for flies come on. But I swear, this man can sing. The
Guess
difference
it's out there now.
The difference is he just doesn't like to.
That is very
He doesn't
correct.
like to. He doesn't feel super, super confident in it. But he was a literal section leader of the entire bass section, and you was gonna do that regardless because it was a scholarship.
It was a scholarship.
Yeah. But I say that to say, it's grown itself. Our friendship and our musicality and the fact that we've literally know each other and what we each want has led to a general partnership because you are also the person who now mixes and masters all of my music. I produce my own shit. My own
You're gonna
shit.
get flagged, bro.
It's my own song. They don't care.
They don't care.
But the point being, I produce on my own music, but because Quinten is such a huge hands-on learner and like he built this entire space, and you should have seen the place at our old house in Milwaukee. Like that was even more spectacular, and that's just from him researching and learning and trying and doing.
Yeah.
And I've always loved that about him. Like he knew that I wanted to eventually become this in-house one-stop shop. We are the next Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, goddammit, okay? Because you got you have literal trained, not just people who do this shit, but trained musicians. You have practicing musicians. You have both of us are producers. Both of us are songwriters and instrumentalists. Both of us, to the varying degrees, are vocalists, okay? Both of us have plentiful experience with gigging, with performing, with artist development, with stage presence. We are literally a one-stop shop. So I firmly believe that the root of what we are doing is going, before we expire from this here earth, we are going to see this grow into this big thing. And people are going to come to Be Free and Q for the entirety of the experience, okay?
Go ahead,
send your people to Be Free and Q. What, you ain't got nothing going on? No social media experience? No savvy on stage? No personality? Go see Be Free and Q. Your songs suck? Go see Be Free and Q. You don't know how to get into it? Yeah? Go see Be Free and then Q. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So.
Well, whenever we get asked, people ask, how do we sustain our relationship?
Yeah.
This was kind of like a good just balance of how it works.
Yeah.
One, it's like you have to be compatible, but you still have to be, just compatible, just no matter how different you are. Because, like, you are the emotion
Yeah.
of our
I
relationship.
am.
And I'm kind of just like the
Fire,
see, exactly. That type of
baby.
shit. Yeah, I'm more of the the technical, I
Yeah.
guess, or the logical.
You're the
So,
logic.
yes.
You are the chess.
Yeah.
You're the
So
chess. I am the checkers.
yeah, you're like the how it works with us. Like you're the you have like the ideas, you have the gumption, you have the enthusiasm, and I'm like, okay, let's figure out how to get this shit done.
Yeah.
These are the tools we need. This is what we have to do. These are the steps we need to take.
Yeah.
So that works for us.
Yeah.
And another piece of advice I would say, as far as anyone looking for the advice on, finding your forever person, find somebody you like.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, love is obviously important, but I don't think people stress enough, like actually liking the person you with. I honestly think it's, love is here and being liked is like neck and neck with it. Like,
Yeah, seriously.
if you don't like your person,
Yeah.
like, fuck all that love shit. Like, I
Yeah.
don't like you.
How can we coexist?
Yeah.
Because the love is interchangeable often.
Yes.
Depending on scenarios, depending on moods, depending on emotions, depending on life. You know what I mean? It doesn't go anywhere, but how the love is exuded and how it's like how it feels is not always going to be 100%.
For sure.
So like you said, what drives the rest of that is, do I actually enjoy this person and me spending my time in my space and sharing that with them at all times? You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah. It's put in perspective, like think about your cousins, because we all love our cousins, but you got that one cousin or that couple of cousins where like, every time they come around, I can't wait till they get here. Then you got that other cousin. Like this nigga gonna come here and he gonna start talking about politics.
Oh.
And, don't let your spouse be the political cousin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I say.
So
Find somebody you
essentially,
like.
don't be with politicians. What you saying? Nah, I'm playing.
Sure.
And I think that is just the root of what makes Be Free and Q so different and so special and so us. So before we close this episode out, there was something that I did want to try, and it is a little segment called Session Notes. I got clever down there. Musician people, right? Okay, so this is pretty much a segment where in the episode, we are going to divulge into a one-off section as it may or may not pertain to the theme of the show. It could be us presenting a song, a thought, a story, a dope-ass lyric, posing a question, or anything that we see fit. Now, because today's theme was us, essentially, meet the FARs, I thought today's prompt should be, what is a song that reminds you of our relationship? So each one of us is going to share what that song, title, and artist is and why. I'm going to let you go first.
All right. So the thing is, I believe I know the name of the song. The artist is Usher.
Okay.
And the song, I believe it's called Here I Stand.
Okay.
Is that the one that's no matter how? Okay. I mean, that's literally our relationship. Yeah, because we spent the time apart and we always find our way back to each other.
Dude, it's so dope, right?
Yeah.
I'm about to cry. Oh my God.
How about that crying?
I didn't do nothing. Yeah, we good. We all right, cuz. That is actually the song that we danced to for our first dance at our wedding. That's so beautiful. And that was essentially the reason why we chose it, because yeah, we literally went through hell and fire. You know, we went apart, together, back and forth. We had two long distance from stints in our relationship, and still managed to make it work.
I'm just glad I got the name right, because black people don't know the name of songs.
We know lyrics.
Yeah.
Like, what's that one song? My Whole Life Has Changed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
What's the real name of that song?
Differences. Like, what the fuck? Genuine, sir.
Does he actually say the word differences in the song?
I don't even think so. And I've listened to that song a lot. Like, come on. We could have done better than that.
Yeah, My Whole Life Has Changed. That's the song.
Although I will say, because I actually have a song on my upcoming album that does not have, I never say it, the title at all. We'll talk about it later.
I know which one it is.
Knows what it is. But that must just be a black people thing.
I just thought about like, what the hell? She don't say that.
I
The
don't.
title of the
I
damn
don't,
song.
but it's implied. Anyway,
Right.
maybe he thought this was too, but it
Mhm.
wasn't. He did a good job. So you did a good job though, because I love that.
Thank you.
I love that, and we did not talk about what songs we were going to choose beforehand because I love the element of surprise and
Yeah.
organic reactions here. My song you probably already know too. It's literally "Flaws and All" by Beyonce.
That makes sense. Yeah.
My ringtone. This is back when we actually still use them because now everybody just keeps their phone either on vibrate or. But my ringtone specifically for Quinten was "I don't know why you love me." Like the entirety of our relationship in college, in grad school, and then a little bit in like living together too. And I think that because I'm also a badass Virgo, get into it, yeah. I relate to B so much about like I am a mess. That's essentially the lyrics are I am a train wreck in the morning. With me, it's also afternoon. A bitch in the afternoon. Sometimes on Tuesday. You know, like I think that there's so many ups and downs and ins and outs of what it comes with being with a person like me and accepting all of that and choosing to wake up every day and say yes to that and choosing to, like like
Yeah.
it was I felt like that song is always just gonna signify you are the only person in this entire universe and I have friends and I know I have best friends, but you are literally my person specifically because you know every single thing about me and you are still here. You're still here. You know what I mean? Like, and that's how you know that you've genuinely found something special for them to know all of the good and the bad, but still only choose to see the beauty.
Yeah,
And I
for sure.
think that that's why that song is always gonna particularly remind me of us. So,
Hey, well, yeah,
yeah.
I love you,
I love you too, sir.
and it helps that you look good.
I mean, you ain't meant to look like the stuff, you know what I'm saying? That you gotta,
Yeah.
he done grown up. Okay, I always thought he was cute, but like the older Quinten gets, he gets more distinguished, and I think that is so cute. But that's just me.
Aw.
And that was the long ass introduction of
The long ass introduction.
the love and the loop. Now, every episode is not necessarily going to be this in depth as far as us, but we wanted to make sure that we gave y'all the full overview of who we are. Because some of y'all might not know from Adam, and it was
For
like
sure.
we took that note from Sterling K and his wife as well, because
Correct.
the whole first episode was them giving their backstory, and we
That
really
podcast is so good.
it really is.
Please watch
This is
it.
us just propping up another Black podcast. Like, please check it out. It's called We Don't Always Agree.
Yes.
And I think that it is just super good, a super good watch and or listen. And I love that was where we pulled this from to make it our own thing.
Mhm.
And then all the continuing episodes that we're choosing to talk about will absolutely delve into our thoughts and opinions and experiences on topics as they fit within life and music and everything in between. So make sure y'all definitely tune in to the next episode installment of
The Love and the Loop.
Very Much. I'm Be Free
I'm Quinten Farr.
and get into it, yeah. I don't know. Bye, y'all. Thank you.
Peace.
Oh, wait. Happy anniversary, Q.
Happy anniversary.
There
babe.
we go.
I love
Yeah,
you.
I love you.
Love and